This video is going to talk about multiplying mixed numbers. When you have mixed numbers like 2 and 5/6 times 1 and 1/7, you can't immediately multiply across, because if you try to make that road that we made in the last video for multiplying fractions, you'll notice that there's something in the way. So what we have to do is we have to convert these mixed numbers into improper fractions. We're going to do that using the backwards C, where you multiply and then you add. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 5 is 17. So 2 and 5/6 becomes 17 over 6. For 1 and 1/7, we're going to do the same thing. 1 times 7 is 7, plus 1 is 8. So what we have here is 17 over 6 times 8 over 7. First, let's figure out what 17 times 8 is. 7 times 8 is 56. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13. So we're going to have 136 on top. On the bottom, we're going to have 6 times 7, which is 42. Now what you'll notice here is that this is too big, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to change this improper fraction back into a mixed number. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to make the L and divide. So we have 136 divided by 42. We have 42 going into 136. That's a big number. Let's break this down. Let's imagine that this 2 is a 0 and that the 6 is also a 0. How many times does 4 go into 13 is what you're going to want to try. Well, 4 would go into 13 3 different times. So let's try a 3 here and see what happens. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. We're left with 10 as a remainder, which is good. So we're going to take this 10 all the way from the bottom, move it all the way to the top for 10 over 42. If you're paying attention, you'll notice that we have to reduce that. We're going to move this up here, so we have 3 and 10 over 42. We can divide that by 2 over 2, so now we have 3 and 5 over 2 goes into 42, 21 for our final answer. It gets a little bit complicated, but if you take it one step at a time, you'll find out that you definitely do know all of the steps. Let's take a look at one more. We're going to take a look at 5 and 2/9 times 3 and 3/4. So what you want to do first is you want to convert these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So we're going to do the backwards C. We're going to multiply and then add. 5 times 9 is 45. Plus that 2 is 47 over 9. We need to do the same thing here. 4 times 3 is going to be 12, plus that 3 is 15. We do have a big number up here. Don't let that scare you. It doesn't really change anything, it just means you have a little bit more multiplication to be doing. We know automatically that we can put that denominator down because 9 times 4 is 36. Let's take a look at multiplying 47 times 15. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and we're going to do 7 times 5, which is 35. 5 times 4 is 20, plus that 3 is 23. I'm done with the 5, so we're going to cross that off. Now we're left with multiplying by 1s. Well, that's easy. We have another 47. Remember that this x is the same thing as an invisible 0, so 5 plus 0 is 5. 7 plus 3 is 10. Carry the 1, more than just a dot. 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7, so we have 705 over 36. That's a big number to divide, but we still have to make that L and divide that. We're going to throw that We'll try throwing it right here and see what happens. 705 divided by 36. Still big numbers. 36 can go into 70 though. So let's try looking. How many times does 3 go into 7? Well, that's a 2, so let's try throwing a 2 there and see what happens. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus 1 is 7, so you have 72. That doesn't work. That's too big. So we're going to have to knock down a number, so let's go back. We'll erase real quick. 1 times 36, we know that. We're going to do the subtraction. 7 becomes a 6. So now we have 10 minus 6 is 4. 6 minus 3 is 3. We have 34. That does work. Drag down the 5. We want to know how many times does 36 go into 345. Big numbers. I'm going to take a guess. I think 9 looks like a good number, so let's try 9 and see what happens. 9 times 6 is 54. I'm going to put the 4 down there, put the 5 up here. 9 times 3 is 27, plus that 5 is 31. So when we do our subtraction, we're going to find that 5 minus 4 is 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. That does work. That 3 goes all the way from the bottom all the way to the top, where we're kind of running out of room. So we're going to put 31 over 36. And that is our final answer. 1931 over 36. Most important thing to remember when you're doing this is to take your time and make sure that you get all the steps right before you rush off to the next step.